"Who did this to you?" said the mountain man, and he swore no man would ever hurt his cook again. The first snow of the season had come down in a soft white hush over Elk Ridge. It was the kind of morning when every sound felt louder. A stable door thudding shut, hooves on frozen ground, the creak of leather, and the soft click of a key turning in an old lock. Eva Miller stood beside the small bay mare she had ridden up the mountain and looked at the Elk Ridge Lodge. It rose from the pines like a piece of the ridge itself. Heavy log walls, stone chimney, thin line of smoke in the pale sky. It should have looked peaceful. Today it only made her feel small. The cold bit the side of her face. That side already hurt. She tipped her chin down and let her dark hair fall forward like a curtain. In her little room above the boarding house in town, she had dabbed on the only powder she owned. It had done nothing. The yellow and purple still pushed through. No flour or powder could hide the shape of a hand. Just get through breakfast. That was all she asked of herself. Get through breakfast. Keep your head down. Keep your head. Act normal. No one has to know. She climbed the step up to the back porch that led straight into the kitchen. The door opened before she could reach for the latch. Warm air and the smell of coffee and bacon rolled out, along with the scent of wood smoke and yeast. A tall man in a flannel shirt stepped out with a sack of potatoes in his arms. "Morning," he said. His fit the mountains, deep and steady. "You're cutting it close, Miller. You usually beat me here." Eva forced a small smile and kept her hand away from her cheek. "Trail was slick," she said. "I had to walk the mare the last stretch." Sam Coulter set the sack down. He was in his mid-40s and broad-shouldered. His hair had gone silver at the temples, and a short beard framed a face that looked like it had seen more storms than birthdays. Folks in Elk Ridge called him the Mountain Man. They said he could smell a snowslide before the sky even turned heavy. They said he had walked out of a wildfire that killed half his crew and never talked much about it after. He had always been kind to her, though. Quiet, gruff, but kind. His eyes narrowed now. For a moment, her heart jumped. She thought he had seen the bruise. He only said, "Put your mare in the lean-to, then drop your bag in your room. Coffee's ready. Strong enough to walk off on its own." She almost laughed with relief. "Yes, boss." "Sam," he reminded her, like he always did. Then he stepped back and held the door for her. Warmth wrapped around her as she stepped inside. The big iron stove hummed. Pans waited in neat stacks on the shelf. Coffee bubbled in its blackened pot. Bacon lay under a towel on the warmer. This small, bright kitchen, lit by lamplight and the fire's glow, was the closest thing she had to a safe place. She walked past the short hall that led to the 2 staff rooms. The cracked mirror above the wash basin caught her as she slipped by. Her own face made her flinch. The bruise sat high on the cheekbone, the exact shape of fingers. She looked away fast. She dropped her bag in the tiny room that held her narrow bed and a peg for her dress, then came back out. Sam stood at the scrubbed wooden table with 2 chipped mugs. He handed one to her. The coffee smelled like mercy. "Thank you," she said. She stared down into the dark surface. If she did not look up, he could not ask. If he did not ask, she would not have to lie. He did not move. Silence settled around them, thick as wool. She felt his attention sit on the side of her face like a weight. "Eva," he said at last. His voice went softer. "Look at me." Her fingers tightened on the mug. "We've maybe 30 minutes before travelers start hammering on the door," she said. "I should put the biscuits in." "Look at me," he said again. There was something in his tone that did not belong to ladles and dishwater. It sounded like a shovel hitting frozen ground. Hard. Committed. She turned her head because she always did what that voice asked. Slowly. like peeling off a bandage. His eyes went straight to the bruise. They stayed there. His jaw clenched. The muscle jumped once. His hand closed around his own mug, and for a second she thought the clay might crack. When he spoke, his voice had dropped low. "Who did this to you?" It was not a shout. It was not even a question in the usual sense. It came out as a promise wrapped in words. The lie came up on its own. It had been ready for months. It was nothing, she said. I stood up too fast and hit the pantry shelf at the boarding house. He did not look at her forehead where that might make sense. His gaze stayed on the cheek. Try again, he said. Her throat burned. She swallowed. She had told herself she would not cry. The tears came anyway. Hot and fast and foolish. She set the mug down so it would not rattle in her hand and stared at the table. It doesn't matter, she whispered. I left him. Sam took a step closer. Not enough to crowd her. Enough that she could feel the heat from his body. Men don't put finger marks on a woman's face and then call it done, he said. They come back. They almost always come back worse. You know that. She did know. Last night had proved it. It was my ex, she said. He doesn't like that I took work up here. He thinks I belong where he can see me and my wages and every letter I send. He hates this mountain. Says it puts notions in people's heads. Says it makes them think they're better than they are. What's his name? Trent, she said. Trent Hall. Does he know where you work? Yes. Does he know the trail up here? He grew up in these hills, Sam. Everybody knows this trail. He thought for a moment. She could almost hear it. He always took a beat before he chose his words. When did he hit you last? He asked. Last night. Did you go to the sheriff? I did, she said. I went down to town before sunup. Sheriff heard us both. Trent told him I'd got myself upset and thrown a cup. Said he was only trying to hold me still. Sheriff looked at the two of us and said he couldn't know who was telling the truth. Called it a quarrel between sweethearts and sent us both home with a warning. Sam blew out a slow breath. Martin still wearing the star down there? Yes. We ran cattle together once, he said. I pulled his cousin out of a snowslide 6 winters back. He owes me. You're not going to walk through this by yourself again. She shook her head fast. I don't want trouble. I just want to work. I need this job, Sam. If this turns into a big thing, I lose the job and he still finds me. He studied her face. It felt like he was setting pieces in their places. I'm not sending you away, he said. I'm not letting him chase you off this mountain. You hear me? You don't know what he's like when he's angry, she said. A small, hard smile touched his mouth. I know men like him, he said. I've seen them in fire camps and saloons and sometimes in the mirror before I got my own head on straight. I also know this. He won't cross this property line and lay a hand on you. I'll see to that. Sam, please, she whispered. I'm riding down after breakfast, he said. I'm talking to Martin myself and to Judge Coates if I have to bang on his door. That's not a debate. We can crack eggs and fight evil at the same time. A weak laugh escaped her. We've got biscuits to bake, she said. His face eased. Good, he said. You start the biscuits. I'll see to the eggs. Then, when the morning rushes past, you and I will sit down and you'll tell me everything. No more tales about pantry shelves. They worked. Heat and movement steadied her. Flour and lard. Coffee and bacon. Voices drifted in from the small dining room. A cattleman headed to Wyoming. 2 sisters in their 60s who came every fall and always asked for extra gravy. The sounds of ordinary life helped her breathe. After the rush, Sam wiped his hands on a towel and tipped his head toward the door. Office, he said. The little room off the kitchen looked like him, solid and simple, and one big desk, a map of the ridge and trails, traced in pencil and thumbprints, coats on pegs, a framed tintype of a woman with laughing eyes and a lean dog that looked half wild. Ava knew who it was. She did not need to ask. Folks in town had told her about Hannah, about sickness that took her slow, about a man who had gone quiet for a very long time. "Sit," he said. She sat. Her palms were damp on her worn skirt. "Tell me how it started," he said. She told him. The diner in town, the first big tip, his jokes, the way he had made her feel pretty on days when she smelled like fry grease and coffee, the job he had done patching a leaky roof for the owner, the first time he grabbed her arm outside the back door because she hadn't come out fast enough when he whistled, how she had told herself he was just under strain, that she had made him worry. "They almost always start charming," Sam said. She talked about the way Trent watched her friends, the way he told her which tables to serve, the way he called her mountain girl in a voice that sounded sweet and sharp at the same time, the way he laughed when she said she wanted to save enough to move closer to the lodge and cook full-time. "3 weeks ago I packed my things," she said. "I took a room above the boarding house. I left a note that said I needed time. I thought I could slip away without a fight." "And last night?" Sam said. "He was waiting on the stairs," she said. "Said he wanted to talk. I tried to pass him. He grabbed my face and shoved me into the wall. Said if he couldn't have me, nobody would." Sam's jaw went tight again. "Did he hit you anywhere else?" "Just bruises," she said. "My arms. Nothing broken." "Nothing broken except your peace," he said. She tried to smile. It did not quite land. He looked at the photo of his wife for a long second, then back at her. "I watched a woman I loved suffer," he said. "I couldn't fix it. I couldn't put my fist through a sickness. I still wake up angry about that. This is different. This is a man making choices that I can do something about, so I will." "I'm sorry," she said. "About her. So am I," he answered. "She'd tell you the same thing I'm saying now. You deserve to be safe. You deserve to stir a pot on that stove without jumping every time you hear boots on the porch. You're not a burden, Ava." He picked up his hat. "You all right to hold the kitchen till noon?" She nodded. "Yes." "Good. I'm heading down to town." He paused in the doorway. "You're under my roof now. That means you're under my protection. I take that serious." When he left, she worked because she did not know what else to do. She rolled pastry, fried potatoes, listened to the murmur of voices in the next room. The hours stretched. Somewhere far below them on the winding road, a horse's hoofbeats would be throwing up little puffs of snow. Somewhere in town, a judge would be rubbing sleep from his eyes. Late afternoon, the kitchen door opened. Snow dusted Sam's shoulders. His beard looked damp with melted flakes. He set his hat on the peg and met her eyes. "Martin's been to see Judge Coates," he said. "We laid out the bruises, the history, your fear. You've got an order signed in town now. Says Trent Hall is to keep clear of your person and this lodge. Martin's not much for papers, but he doesn't like men who shove women into walls. He'll stand by it." "There's really a paper," she whispered. "Locked in Martin's desk, and a copy in Judge Coates' safe," he said. "And another one right here." He tapped his chest. "That's the one that matters most to me." For a few days, the world calmed. Snow fell. Travelers came up the mountain for quiet and a warm hearth. Eva rolled out pie crust and hummed old hymns under her breath. Sam checked the roofs and chopped extra wood. He did not hover, but she often saw him walking the edge of the property at dusk with his hands in his coat pockets and his head bent like he was listening to the trees. She tried not to read too much into the way he always seemed to be nearby when she carried heavy platters, or how his gaze found her when she laughed with one of the older guests. She told herself he was watchful by nature. He had been trained to keep men alive in hard country. This was just another kind of weather. The storm that came a week later did not look like the one she had been expecting. It rolled in on a Thursday. The sky had promised a light snowfall. By evening, it was clear the sky had lied. The wind pushed against the shutters and snow blew sideways. Lamps rattled in their hooks. The world beyond the windows turned to a blur of gray and white. The lamps were turned up high. Guests gathered around the big stone hearth like people always have when weather turns mean. Someone tuned a fiddle. Someone else told a story about a storm that had buried fence posts. Ava kept the stove going and served stew and cornbread by lamplight. It felt almost like a tale out of the storybook she'd once held as a girl. People spoke of other winters, of drifts as tall as wagons, of old cabins that still stood up on the ridgeline. Around 9, Sam pulled on his heavy coat. "I'm going to look at the sheds," he said. "Make sure the snow's not banking too high against the walls, and that the chimneys draw." "I can go with you," she said. "You stay inside," he said. "That wind will carve you to the bone." "Be careful," she told him. He gave a brief nod. "Always." She watched him take a lamp and step out into the white, then close the door behind him. Time moved slow after that. She washed bowls, checked the pot of stew, cleared cups, and tried not to look at the little brass clock on the shelf. 20 minutes passed, 30. The knot in her chest pulled tight. She walked to the small window by the back door. The night outside had turned to a rushing sheet of snow. She saw only the shadow of the stable and a faint roof line where the woodshed sat. No moving figure. "Mrs. Duffy," she said to the woman from Kansas who was knitting near the hearth. "If anyone asks, I went to look in on the barrels. Don't let my biscuits burn." "Don't be long, dear," the older woman said. "That wind will steal your breath." Ava wrapped a scarf around her hair, pulled on her coat and mittens, and stepped into the storm. It hit her like a wall. Snow stung her cheeks. The wind pulled at her skirts and tried to shove her back against the door. She kept one hand on the rail and pushed forward. "Sam!" she called. The wind snatched the sound. She tried again, louder. "Sam!" A shape moved near the woodshed. Relief washed through her. She hurried toward it, boots sinking deep. "You scared me," she said. "I thought—" The man who turned was not Sam. Snow clung to his coat. His hair was wet and wild. His eyes shone fever-bright in the dim lantern light that spilled from the kitchen window. "Trent," she whispered. "Well now," he said. His voice had a loose, drunken edge. "Mountain girl, look at this grand place. Took me a while, picking out the right turnoff in all this pretty snow. But I always find you, don't I?" Her heart slammed so hard her hands went numb. "You can't be here," she said. "There's an order." He shrugged, shoulders jerking under the wet wool. "Piece of paper in a warm town. Sheriff can't get up this trail tonight. Road's near closed. You think that mountain man of yours can save you if I decide to walk you back down the hill?" A darker shape moved out from behind the shed. This one she knew at a glance. Sam. He walked through the snow with a steady limp. Wind clawed at his coat. His face looked carved out of rock. "You picked the wrong night and the wrong land," he said. "You were told to stay away, Hall." "Oh, look," Trent said. "The hero. Big mountain man. Think you can take what's mine." "I don't see anything of yours here," Sam said. "I see a woman who told you no. I see a man breaking a judge's order and trespassing on my land in a blizzard. And I see a fool." The wind roared. Snow swirled around their legs. Eva stood between the porch and the shed, caught between the two men. "Sam," she said. "Don't. He's drunk." "I can smell that," Sam said. His eyes never left Trent. "Go back inside, Eva." "For once you ought to listen to the man," Trent said. "This won't be pretty." Sam's voice went even colder. "I'm not looking for a fight," he said. "I'm giving you one chance. Turn around, take your sorry hide back to town. You don't take it, you can wait here for Martin and Irons." Trent laughed. It came out raw. "You think I'm afraid of a cell?" he said. "I drink with men hold the purse strings in that town. Men who like my bets and my cards. Who do you think the judge listens to? You! You ought to be afraid of what happens if you lay one more hand on her," Sam said. Because I'm done being polite. Trent lunged. He grabbed Eva's arm and yanked her in front of him like a shield. Pain shot through her shoulder. She cried out. His breath hit her neck. The storm and the fear narrowed her world down to that one rough grip. Let her go, Sam said. The words came out like a growl. Or what? Trent said. You'll limp at me. What happened next blurred. Sam moved faster than she had ever seen him move. He came in low and hard. His hand caught Trent's wrist and twisted. Trent cursed and let go. She fell into the snow. Cold shot up through her skirts and into her bones. The two men grappled. Snow flew. For a second it looked like Sam had him pinned. Then Trent's elbow slammed into Sam's bad leg. Sam gasped and dropped to one knee with a choked sound. Trent drew back his fist. Something in Eva snapped loose. Fear, shame, all the nights she had told herself to be quiet. It boiled up into one hot, fierce line. No, she shouted. Her hand closed around a broken branch half buried in the drift. She swung with everything she had. The branch struck Trent across the shoulders. It did not break bone. It broke his focus. He stumbled and turned on her with murder in his eyes. You little... He did not finish. Sam rose from his knee like the mountain itself. He drove his shoulder into Trent's middle, wrapped him up, and bore him down into the snow. This time he got an arm behind Trent's back and shoved his face into the drift. That's enough, Sam said, breathing hard. It's over. You're done. For a moment the only sound was wind and her own ragged breathing. Then, faint at first, came another sound. The jingle of harness, the creak of leather. The glow of a swinging lantern cut through the storm. A horseman fought his way up the trail, cloak whipped sideways by the wind. Another followed behind, leading a second mount. Good timing, Sam muttered. Sheriff Martin swung down, boots plunging into the snow. His deputy followed, lantern held high. In a few minutes, Trent was in irons, with his hands bound behind his back, and a rope looped through the iron ring on the back of Martin's saddle. Trent still shouted that she was his, that she was lying, that this was all some mistake. The wind tore most of the words away and flung them into the trees. Eva stood on the porch steps and wrapped her arms around herself. Her teeth chattered. Not all from the cold. Sam limped up to her. Snow clung to his beard. A dark mark already bloomed along his jaw. You all right? He asked. A shaky laugh slipped out. I hit him with a stick, she said. I saw, he said. You did just fine. Is it truly over? She asked. It'll take time, he said. There'll be talk and writs and more words in front of that judge. But after tonight, it won't be a warning and a shrug. He broke the order. He forced his way onto my land in a storm. He grabbed you in front of witnesses. That tends to get a judge's attention, even in a small town. She swayed. The storm inside her began to ebb. Come on, he said softly. You've done enough hero work for one night. Let's get you warm. Later, when dry clothes and hot tea and the sheriff's careful, clumsy questions were done, when the lodge had gone quiet again, and the storm's roar had dropped to a low, steady breath, she sat on the settee near the fire. Her body felt heavy. Her mind felt light in a strange way. Something that had been pressing on her for months was gone. The space it left behind felt tender. Sam came in from the back hall. He had changed into a clean flannel shirt. His jaw carried a purple bruise. He eased himself down on the other end of the settee with a small wince. You should put cold cloths on that, she said. You should be asleep, he answered. They sat in the glow of the fire. Wood popped. Wind sighed around the eaves. Thank you, she said at last, for tonight, for going down to town, for not pretending you didn't see. He turned his head, and looked at her. Really looked at her. "You walked out," he said. "You went to the law. You told the truth when it cost you. You swung a branch at a man who scared you half to death. Don't hand me all the credit." "It didn't feel brave," she said. "That's how courage usually feels," he said. "Like shaking and doing it anyway." She looked down at her hands. "What happens now?" she asked. "When the papers are done. When I don't wake up wondering if he's outside my door. Who am I then?" "Now you get to find that out," he said. "You get to cook because you love feeding weary folks who ride in off the trail. You get to walk to the barn because you feel like taking the mare out, not because you're running from anything. The rest," he paused. "The rest we'll figure out." "We," she said softly. He cleared his throat. "My family came up last week while you were in town," he said. "Sister, some cousins. They worry about me, about the way I stayed up here after Hannah died, about the way I talk more to trees than to people. They asked about you." She felt her shoulders tense. "I'm sorry if my trouble brought shame." "You didn't bring shame," he said. "You brought color back into this place. You brought the smell of cinnamon rolls in the morning. You laugh with the old ladies from Kansas. You tell the cowhands they're not too proud to scrape their own plates. My sister said I look more alive when you're around. She's not wrong?" "Sam," she whispered. He shifted to face her. His bad leg stretched out, stiff. One hand rested on the back of the settee close to her shoulder. "I know I give you your pay packet," he said. "I know that matters. I'm not asking you for big answers tonight, but I'm tired of carrying this without saying it out loud." He took a breath. "The truth is, I care about you," he said. "Not only because you work hard, not only because you make pot roast that could stop wars. I care because you came up here with almost nothing and built yourself a life. Because you're gentle and firm at the same time. Because you stood out there in the worst storm of the year and swung a stick at the man who hurt you. I haven't felt this kind of pull since before Hannah got sick. It scares me, if I'm honest. It also feels like waking up." Tears blurred her sight. "You think I'm not scared?" she said. "You walked through fire and came back. I stayed too long with the wrong man because I was afraid of where the rent money would come from. That doesn't sound like an even match." "Shiny love stories are for dime novels," he said. "Up here we take steady and stubborn." She gave a watery laugh. "What are you saying, Sam?" He looked straight at her. "I'm saying that when you've had time to heal and breathe, if you looked at me and said you wanted more than a place in my kitchen, I'd want that too. I'm saying if you ever ride away from this lodge, it won't be because you're chased off. It'll be because there's something you want more. And if you stay," his voice softened, "if you stay, I'd like it to be because these trees and this stubborn man feel a little like home." Her heart thudded hard enough to hurt. "All my life I've chosen out of fear," she said. "I stayed because I was afraid of hunger. I worked myself thin because I was afraid of failing at something better. Riding up this mountain was the first thing I did because it felt right. It still does. I like waking to the smell of pine. I like hearing you grumble about my garlic. I like knowing that when I hear boots in the hallway, it might be you coming to steal a bit of pie crust." He smiled. It was small and real. "You do use too much garlic," he said. "Liar," she said. "You always go back for seconds." He did not argue. "I don't know how to court a man who pays my wages," she went on. "I don't know how to fall in love without waiting for the floor to give way. But when I saw you drop to your knee in that snow, my whole world tilted. When you told him I was under your protection, something in me uncurled. So if you want to know if I might want more than work with you someday..." Her voice shook. "Yes, I do." He closed his eyes for a heartbeat like he was saying a silent thank you. "Come here," he said softly. She slid down the settee until her knee touched his. He lifted a hand and rested it on her cheek. His thumb brushed the fading bruise. "No one is ever going to put marks on this face again," he said. "Not while I have anything to say about it." "Who did this to you?" she said quietly, echoing his question from that first morning. "Life," he said. "Fire. loss. Same as you. The difference now is that maybe we don't have to carry it alone. He leaned in slow enough that she could have turned away. She did not. His lips met hers in a kiss that was warm and steady. Not rushed, not demanding, just a promise that they would try. Heat spread through her chest, not the wild rush she had once called love. Something deeper, like standing in front of a fire after a long, cold ride and knowing the warmth would last. When they drew back, he rested his forehead against hers. "We'll take it slow," he said. "When the time comes, we'll talk to Coates about drawing up papers proper. Make sure nothing looks crooked. I'll do my best not to hover every time you walk out to the barn. I can't promise I won't watch the trail, though." "I can live with that," she said. "I believe you, Sam." Outside, the storm eased. Inside the Elk Ridge Lodge, the fire burned steady. A woman who had thought her life would be one long, small road, and a man who had thought his heart had burned up in a wildfire, sat side by side and let themselves imagine another kind of future. In the months that followed, folks in Elk Ridge told the story of that night in the blizzard. Some said the mountain man had gone soft over his cook. Others said he had finally found someone as stubborn as the ridge itself. Sheriff Martin said over morning coffee that he wished more men took a judge's order as serious as Sam Coulter did. As for Eva, when someone new asked how she ended up behind that stove, she would wipe her hands on her apron and say, "I rode up this mountain with a bruise on my face and a man who thought he owned me. A different man looked at me and said, 'Who did this to you?' and meant it. I thought I was just getting a job. Turned out I was getting my life back." And if that person watched close, they would see the way her eyes softened when Sam walked through the door and stole a biscuit off the cooling rack. They would see the way his hand brushed her back as he passed, easy and sure. They would see that in a lodge tucked high on Elk Ridge, a cook and a mountain man had built something solid out of broken pieces, and that no one would ever lay a hand on her there again.